Hey guys, today we're reacting to a video called How GaryVee Makes Over $200 million a year from over 12 businesses. Abraham, what do you know about Gary Vaynerchuk?
I've heard people say GaryVee. I've never watched a video about him. I don't really know a whole lot about him at all. I just know that he's pretty famous and popular and that a lot of other people talk about him. I really don't follow like a whole lot of people, so I'm starting to more and more every single month. But yeah, man, I'm curious to see because I've never seen anything about him.
Cool, all right, let's watch it.
GaryVee talks a huge game about business, but how is he actually making that moolah? So first off, it's VaynerMedia. This is a full digital agency built for the now. Oh boy. Just a couple of the Fortune 500 companies that they are working with. You've probably heard of a few: Budweiser, Kraft, Unilever, PepsiCo, Subway. And so they are working with clients. The minimum just to work with his agency is $50,000. And this is where he's actually making the bulk of his money.
GaryVee is really good on understanding current state of society. One of the things that he's known for is he'll make a video that he posted 10 years ago calling that a social media like TikTok would explode in the future. He's done that multiple times. So I think what he's really good at in general is reaching out to these big companies that have been around for a long time and being like, hey, look, your current marketing is like old. Like TV commercials is old. This is the type of marketing you need to do now. You need to get these relevant influencers. You need to get on the relevant platforms. And so I think that's why he's doing so well, is because he's really good at calling the shots as to what the future holds and then adapts his media to it.
The Sasha Group. And so this is for VaynerMedia, but for smaller businesses. They're only making less than $100 million, versus VaynerMedia is actually for Fortune 500 companies. So I do like this tagline a little bit better. It is, we help ambitious businesses outgrow us. Because he's got such a trusted brand, he's able to actually get a lot of clients in this business.
So GaryVee make like the marketing for like a lot of these big companies?
Yeah.
So how long has he been doing that for?
Actually, I don't know. But one thing he also does is like he signs a lot of people to his marketing agency. Like he'll have representatives of like, let's say this isn't one, but like he'll be like, oh, I actually have Logan Paul signed to my agency. So he creates a lot of my content and helps me out with a lot of that type of stuff.
Okay, that's cool, yeah.
Vayner Sports. Did you know that he actually runs a full service athlete representation agency that guides players through the issues they have in their professional career? And so this is wild. So like famous ass athletes, Vayner Sports was representing. So they rep NFL, MLB, UFC, and esports athletes. And it's really fascinating because they're going so hard on repping players in esports and MMA. Just super smart move because those are really fast and high growing areas of sports. Here's some of the big names they represent. They have Stipe Miocic. He's probably going to kick
CBO.
So how long ago did GaryVee become popular? Because I haven't really ever heard of him until lately.
So it's been a slow burn because he's been doing this for forever. I'd say at least like the last 5-6 years.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Because he's making $200 million a year according to them.
Yeah.
It takes time to build up to that.
100%. And the thing is, like I was saying about the social commentary, you could see it. Like he has no interest in MMA. Like he says, like, you know, it's cool, but I don't ever watch it myself. He's more of a football guy.
Right.
But he's like, but I see that people would want to watch a sport like that. He's like, so I'm gonna invest in that market. Like he does a lot of the stuff that he believes like society is going towards. I think it's really cool.
So next up is Vayner Speakers. So this is a booking agency that specializes in the business speaker niche. They find speaking gigs for high-paying speakers and take a 15% fee. And so the speaker they manage, speakers get paid somewhere between $15,000 to $100,000 a speech. Dude, I would speak for like 10K. Come on. But it looks like they manage like a really high-profile speaker. So Tom Bilyeu, Ryan Holiday, James Altucher, Jesse Itzler, Robert Greene, Dominique Dawes, Andrew Brandt.
Man, I'm terrible. I don't know any of those people. Have you heard of some of those people?
A couple.
I don't know what any of those people are.
And if they book one event a month for each of these speakers, that is an average of $50,000 per event. So let's do some quick math of like how much this is actually generating at a high level. So if they have 16 speakers total, and they get maybe 2 events for these speakers a month, times, there's 12 months a year, hopefully you know that. I don't know if every speaker is making $50,000, but let's just say they are. This is just ballparking it. And then they take their 15% cut. So that's a cool $2.8 million a year.
This is another thing. This whole video is about how he makes $200 million a year. $3 million is such a small amount compared to $200 million. So like he has to do it just either because he enjoys it or because he thinks he could grow it to a much bigger scale.
This is what I think it was on that. So GaryVee was a public speaker for the longest time. He still is. Like that's what you would really classify him as a public speaker. I think he created an infrastructure for himself of how people would book through him. Okay. And he was like, it wouldn't require any more effort for me just to have my connections also be on the same platform. I don't think it took a lot of effort for him to do.
It has to be, because that's like 1.5% of what he makes.
Yeah.
Next up is Vayner RSC. So in 2014, Gary actually partnered with RSC Ventures, aka they probably put up the money, where they partner with teams to build tomorrow's companies today. They really work on these taglines. Gary, aren't you like a social media expert on this stuff? They basically go and invest in different startups that are out there. And a lot of them is because he gets access to them because of his notoriety and people probably hit him up. Let's check out a few of the companies that he invested in. So Coinbase, that's been huge. I think that's going to do really well. Some of these not so much. Lawn Starter is okay. Meerkat went out.
The interesting thing about, investing in a lot of startup companies, I mean, most startup companies like go out of business and end up being worthless, like almost worthless. But you hit the one good one, it could blow up, right? Like Coinbase I saw one of them. I'm pretty sure that's a pretty big.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge, right? I think a lot of people just buy like a whole bunch that they think might have a shot, and they realize they're going to lose on 90% of them. But the one that they hit is where they make all the money, and that's it looks like that's what. Because I'm looking at all these different companies. I mean, none of them I don't even recognize.
Yeah.
Some of them might be okay, but
one thing I think, like he had mentioned, he's like he gets access to a lot of these companies in general because of his notoriety.
For sure.
Like, I'm sure he'd probably do relatively well without having any social media presence. Like he seems like a pretty savvy guy.
Yeah.
But I think like because of that social media presence and his business experience, his everything.
Yeah, boost all this stuff.
Did do Snapchat. I think Ship had an exit.
Snapchat's on there.
Yeah, he was an early investor in Snapchat, Twitter, and I think Uber.
How most investing happens is you invest in 100 different companies. 1 or 2 actually pay for the whole fund.
That's what I just said. I said, 90-some% of them are garbage. But, they do hit like 1 or 2 big ones. It doesn't matter. That all the others are crap.
Tracer. It's a marketing data aggregation and reporting platform that pulls in and visualizes a company's media spending from all major platforms. Guess who's doing a lot of media management? Gary and all of his agencies. Tracer wants to license this platform to a lot of other agencies, publishers, and businesses. It's the GaryVee model. Beautiful. And so it's really smart. They sell the tool directly to their giant VaynerMedia clients. As well, the pricing is tailored to the client, an annual retainer and percentage model.
So what's cool about all his businesses is that like they all kind of like piggyback off each other. So someone buys one, he could sell them 2 or 3 other products. So like they just all intermingle and they just grow really big just because of that.
Speaking gigs. Here's a short clip.
I monetized the fact that I had brand out there and people were interested in me, and then conferences and book companies came along and there was monetization against that.
It is really smart and it's really nuanced, but it's beautiful is that he's not running ads, he's not making the small dollars, he's making the long game, big ass dollars. And I really like his approach about that, about building demand for himself as a speaker.
You know what's interesting? Like all these people that have courses and that teach all these different things, they all make books.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's worth making a book. Like I don't know about books, I don't even read books, but like it just seems like it's like everyone makes a book just because once you have a book, you're more legitimate.
Which is weird because to me it seems like an outdated way of like learning or like even like conveying information.
That's what I would think. But like everyone I know that does this actually does have books. They could show, look, I have a top selling book here, a top selling book here. I don't know. So
You guys want to see a book?
I could make a book. I'll have to have somebody sit there with me, but I mean, we could put a really cool book together.
On every single channel, putting himself out there and then saying, hey, if you want me, it's going to be really expensive to have.
I'll probably like make the book and not even read it because I don't know. Whatever.
This guy is booking speaking gigs across the globe during COVID. So based on our research, in 2019, he did around 60 events per year. And we have found out his speaking fee ranges. What do you think it is? We found $75,000 to $100,000 per speech. So based on just 2019 numbers, that's 60 speeches, $100K a year, $6 million a year from speaking.
So when GaryVee speaks and has a speaking event, what does he talk about? What's his topic?
Mostly marketing, I believe, like social media content. Basically how to leverage social media for smaller people. That's most of the stuff that I've seen of his public speaking and like TEDx style talks.
Okay.
Is mostly like use social media to convey your message. This is how you would use these platforms to build yourself.
Yeah, that's
up.
actually really, really important these days.
Yeah.
That's like super important.
100%.
Next up is book deals. 4 of the books that Gary has written were on the New York Times best-selling list. Jib, Jab, Punch. I've read actually a lot of them. They're pretty good. We are estimating that Gary has sold at least 850,000 books across everything. Most authors get somewhere in the range of about $3 to $5 for every book sold. $2.5 million from book sales. And by the way, these book sales make his brand even bigger, which increases his agency and his speaking gigs. You could argue that maybe selling books and making this kind of money is not really worth it.
That's exactly what I just said. Like making a book, you can make whatever money, but it's just a small percent of what you make, and it takes some amount of time. But the reason why it's worth it is not because of the money you're making on it, it's because of the residual. Your name's bigger and you're more legitimate, and people want to see your stuff.
He said, how do I actually create real businesses with the attention and audience I have? So he's turned that into a large-ass agency making over $200 million a year. He has got speaking gigs making over $6 million a year. Number 3, he's got book deals that have gross total $2.5 million. He's been building brands like Empathy Wines, which has sold supposedly we think around $5 million. Number 5, television deals, and also turning that into angel investing with a lot of amazing companies that have done some really successful exits.
All right, so you never heard of GaryVee before, but
I've heard his name. I've never watched any of his stuff.
Right.
But I hear his name a lot because obviously his name's out there lately. Never understood what he did. Now I understand a little bit more of what he does. Even when I ask people, what does GaryVee do? They don't even know how to answer it exactly.
The truth of the matter is, honestly, I think a majority of his following wouldn't even know half that. I think what they would think is that he's a social media personality that does like inspiring content. He's a huge like lead with empathy type guy, lead with love and put it into the world. And so he's a super like, he's like a positive motivational speaker. And then he also talks about, you know, creating a social media platform is super important.
Definitely, you know, fun to learn about, you know, all these people that have broken through in the last, you know, year, 2 years, 5 years, and, you know, learn how they did it. Because, you know, one of the things that I do is I go out and I find other people or other businesses that have done really well and try to kind of figure out a way to implement that to do well with my own stuff.
Right.
So the more I see this stuff on YouTube, the more stuff I see, you know, all these different people, I want to like do a lot more of what they do, because I think that's the new wave for the future.
Yeah, 100%. All right, guys. Well, if you guys like this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what other people you want us to react to, what other videos you want to see us make, and we'll be sure to do it.
And of course, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of these cool videos ever again.